Hello Sunshine Seekers, and welcome to the first week of our Hello Sunshine Knit Along. I know you've all been very excited for this particular day. It is Cast On Day, the happiest day of the week, if you're a knitter. So just to give you a quick recap, if you're tuning in and you really don't know what's going on, we have chosen, or I have chosen, I guess we have all chosen because you have the yarn for this beautiful project, the Sunshine Shawl. This is designed by a fiber artist from New Mexico, and she is able to create the most gorgeous landscapes and realistic type pieces of artwork in her knitting patterns. This particular one, as soon as I saw it a few months ago, I knew it was a real stunner. So I will bring it up closer to the camera. Some of you have not been able to come in and see it in person. And the colors are just simply amazing. A few questions were asking if there are 5 colorways in the shawl. No, there's actually only 3, but because of the tonal shading, as you can see in the turquoise, it changes periodically into a deeper blue, and the orange changes into a nice deep coral, and the yellow changes more in the sun at the top into the light and dark shading. So it is what we call a semicircular shawl shape, but surprisingly it's not knit from the top down. It is knit in 2 pieces, where you would start would be your right, and you would knit across to your left. That's one piece, and then the stitches are picked up to do the yoke design, which is also known as the sunshine. So you've got these beautiful sun rays. Hi everyone, thanks for joining in. So I think I'll just start recapping what the knit along is all about, and then I'll get into the technical stuff. So what we're doing is starting today. It's a 4-week knit along. The 5th week will be our check-in, and that will be our final grand prize draw, which you'll see later today, a little peek at. And we're doing some special incentives. So for anyone who had signed up before the knit along started, so up until today, received a ballot into the draw bucket, which is also my needle holder today. So you have a ballot in here already, just for signing up and purchasing whatever color combo you chose. And then if you enlisted a friend to participate with you and join in the sunshine fun, then you received a second ballot into our draw bucket. And at any time during the knit along, you can always sign up or you can enlist a friend, and that will be the same incentive. You'll get 1 ballot towards the grand prize draw, and if you sign up a friend, you get a second one. Then we're also going to be doing an incentive ballot each week, so each of the 4 weeks starting today, during the live video, which is happening now at the end, and it will be a trivia question. So whoever guesses the trivia question correctly and posts it in the comments, I'll try to catch it in time, will win another incentive ballot. And there's no limit. It could be the same person who wins next week and the week after. So that will give you more chances to win. So that's what the incentives are all about. And then I just wanted to mention a little bit about the yarn, because everybody is wondering what makes it so different. So we're using a pure extra fine merino superwash fingering weight from a company called Earth Yarns. Earth Yarns is a very small family-run company that employs women in Mersin and Istanbul. Does anyone know where Mersin is? I bet you do. And those women are the ones who hand dye this natural merino in the gorgeous colors that you see here. But not only is it a special company because it is family run and operated, it is also very special because Earth Yarns partners with, what's it called? They partner with Trees for the Future, which is a program that plants trees in Africa. And by buying one skein of earth yarn, whatever it may be, it could be one of their worsted weight, DK, bulky. It doesn't have to be just the fingering. That plants one tree automatically in Africa. So by purchasing your combo kit for your shawl, you have now enabled 3 trees to be planted in Africa. And what do we know about the trees? These trees allow families to become sustainable and create a forest garden in an otherwise barren landscape. So that is the yarn. And what makes the shawl extra special too is that it is extra fine merino. It is very, very elastic. Every week I show you how bouncy it is. I just can't get over it. And it is less than 18 microns to be considered extra fine merino, not just regular merino. And if you consider that one human hair is 50 microns or higher, that gives you an idea of how fine each strand or each fiber is. And the merino itself, this particular one, is consisting of 4 strands, which are very softly spun. I'll bring it up to the camera. So there are actually 4 strands spun together, and it has a very soft twist. There, I've plied it apart so you can see a little bit better. It is so fine. But what that does is give you an amazing resilient texture when you knit or crochet with it. So we started off with 9 colors to create your combo choices. And remember, you just need one skein of the 3 different colors. We've sold out now of the light gray and that medium charcoal gray. So we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors. They're all quite stunning. We have the aqua and the yellow and the sun-kissed orange, which are in the shawl. And then we also have this really warm teal, brilliant olive green, which is gorgeous for the fall. We have a cranberry, and we have an indigo. So there's been some really interesting combos put together by all of you sunshine seekers, and feel free to post your color combos on the events page. I'm sure everybody would love to see them. Yes, Catherine, they're in Turkey. That's Mersin in Istanbul. So next I want to mention tools. I need my cue cards because my mind wanders a lot. So tools are very important for this project. So first let's talk about the type of needles that would work best. Everybody has their preference. Some like circular, some like straight, some like metal, some like wood, some like plastic. I've just put together a selection of needles, and the problem is that the different manufacturers make different tips or different points. So I'm going to hold those up in front of the camera, and then you can see there is quite a difference. Okay, so I've got a combination here of wood and aluminum, the old style gray aluminum, which I think most of us learned how to knit on. And then I also have the bamboo, so birch, bamboo, and the old style aluminum. The Problem is that some of these have a very blunt point, and that is going to cause you a little bit of a headache when you're knitting the shawl. The birch needles, which are made by Knitter's Pride, they have a nice point on them. So I would say they are a good one. I would stay away from this type of blunt point, the metal or aluminum. It's just a bit too rounded, and you will struggle to get into every stitch, and you will split the yarn. You'll get very frustrated. And then looking at the bamboo needles, can you see the point on those? They're quite rounded as well. So probably not the best for this type of yarn. There is a circular needle here, probably made by the old Millward company, which isn't around anymore, and they have a better point. There's a little bit of a tip on it. Okay, so again, needles, it's personal preference, it's all up to you, but just to keep you from getting frustrated in your first few rows, try to choose the needles that have a bit more of a point. We don't want the sharpest and we don't want the dullest. We want something in the middle. I started off knitting the shawl on Knitter's Pride, Birch, the Dreams, circular needles, and it was fine. But I didn't like the circular needles because I didn't really have enough stitches to fill in the cord. So I switched to my Knitter's Pride Dreams, believe it or not, the 10-inch straight. So the whole shawl knit sideways on a 10-inch is very doable, and then the top yoke, which is the sunburst, also on the 10-inch. So take that into consideration, and then I also want to talk about the needle size. Some of you have noticed in your pattern requirements that the yarn that the original design was knit with has a meterage of 440. So that's 3 skeins, 440 meters. Earth yarn monochrome does not have 440 meters. So I'm a little bit worried that some of you that are a loose knitter, especially with the yarn being so bouncy, that you will end up playing yarn chicken with the main color and possibly contrast 1. Contrast 2 you'll be fine with because you really don't use much. It's just for the tips. I knit the whole shawl on 4mm, but I am not a loose knitter, and I can adjust my tension average to a little bit tight, and I did have a small bit of the main color left and a small bit of color 1. So for that reason, to play it safe, I am suggesting that we all switch to 3.75mm. It gives the yarn a better handle, makes it a little bit firmer, and you have to remember when the yarn is blocked, it's really going to stretch out and bloom. So don't worry that your shawl will be too small, it won't. So the loose knitters, you know who you are, please use 3.75, or if you feel that that's even a little bit too big a tension, you may want to go to 3.5 or 3.25. So take that into consideration with your needles. And then the other tools that will be important to have on hand are locking stitch markers. I have some in the shawl already. So because you're not working in the round, you don't need a stitch marker that sits on the needle, but you certainly need these locking stitch markers to help you with your counting as you go across the row. So I have put 2 on here as an example. These are the type that open and close. You can also use progress keepers, and I would say you would need about 5 to 7 until you get used to the setup of the pattern. Why I've placed them here is to mark my central decrease and my central increase. So you want to mark the little spines that those create all the way across your row. That way you can count each sequence without always having to count stitches on the needle when it terms a certain number of repeats, you can just count by the markers. So please have some locking stitch markers handy. And then the last tool to make it really efficient and easy is for the pattern reading. So because the pattern is written out in 2 sections primarily, you're going to be jumping back and forth constantly. And because of the short rows, you may lose your place because you haven't completed a full row. So what we prefer to use is either a magnetic pattern reader. I think some of you have these at home and you're already using them. This is great because you have a magnetic ruler bar and it will just move up or down. So you can mark your row, and even if the wind blows or somebody bumps into it, you know, if it's on the coffee table, it will not budge. It's a really, really strong magnet. Plus it comes with powerful magnets to hold your pattern in place. So these are little fold up pattern readers made by Knitter's Pride. They come in 2 sizes. This one is the smaller size. There's a larger pattern reader that would hold the full size of your paper without it hanging over. Or the other little tool, which you can get anywhere at a dollar store or Staples, is something called a sticky tab. It's like a built-in highlighter, and it sticks on one side, one corner, and you just put it on your row as you read it, and your row is see-through. You can see right through, just like you would if you used a highlighter, and then you just pick it off and stick it on somewhere else, the next row. Can you see that okay? So it's quite secure, the wind won't blow it off, and it's easy to pick up, lift, and move down to the next row. So those are the important tools to have handy. Okay, so we've covered tools, yardage, the cast on method. Some of you I know have already cast on. It's hard to hold off. Whatever your preferred cast on method is, as long as it's stretchy. So long tail cast on is preferred, but if you do a knitted cast on, don't do the cable cast on. The cable cast on is very firm, and you need that shawl to be able to block out so that you get that scalloped edge at the very end. So it has to be enough stretch there for the cast on and the cast off. So that is long tail cast on. You can find it on YouTube, or you can check in our events page. I have done a whole segment on tech tips, and I have done a video demonstration of the long tail cast on. And then we will get into techniques. Hi Catherine, so you just finished something last night in time to start your Cal project today. Wendy, can the pattern be put on Knit Companion? Yes, I think it can be. You could be the guinea pig and try it out and let us know. And Leslie can't wait to start. I know some of you will be watching the video tonight. You might be at work, or you might be out and about during the daytime, which is fine. If you don't catch any of the 4 weeks of live videos, don't worry, because they go right into the event page after they air live, and they stay there forever. So you can always access them and post comments there, and we'll be able to read any of the questions there as well as live on here. The sticky tabs for reading. I just call them sticky tabs. If you go to your local dollar store and look in the office stationery aisle, they come in a little strip package about 2 inches by 4 inches, and you get about 5 or 6 different colors, fluorescent colors. I'll see if I can find the name and then I'll post it in the comments if I still have the full package. Anyone else on here know what they're called, the official name, other than sticky tabs? You could also use your Post-it notes. That works well as a ruler. The only thing I like better about the little sticky tab is that it is see-through. So you can put it right on your row and then read through it. Post-its look like this. I have a lot of notes on my pattern, so Post-its are great for that. So the techniques video, I posted it last night in the events page. You'll find it there if you're looking. And it will show you the four techniques that are used in the shawl. And then I'll just go over them on our abbreviation page, which should be the last page of your pattern. So you're feeling familiar and not overwhelmed by anything. It is really an easy shawl to knit, but you do have to have your wits about you and concentrate. It's primarily just knitting every row, which is super easy, but there are increases and decreases to create those lovely sun rays. And of course short rows to give it the semicircular effect. Heather Parker's so excited. I know. I'm so excited. I wish I could knit another one, but I have other things I have to knit first. And I'm very sorry for those of you who have not received your yarn yet by today, cast on day. Some of you in the States, I think it's taking a little bit longer to get to you. And then we have a few sunshine seekers in the prairies. But I have to say, the package that went to Nova Scotia to Sharon got there really, really quick, like 2 days. I mean, that's unheard of. So we really just can't understand the whole mail system, how it works. So the techniques. Well, let's go over those. So basically the knit stitch, you know that. Slip stitch, we're going to talk about a bit more. Knit 2 together, I think you all know that. That's just knitting through 2 stitches as one, reducing a stitch. And then there is the SSK 2 tog, which is generally shown in American patterns. North American, well, Canadian and English and European go by a different term. So the SSK 2 tog is when you're slipping 2 stitches knitways from the left needle to the right needle. So you would slip 1 to the right needle, slip the next stitch to the right needle, knitways. And then you would pass those 2 stitches from the right needle back to the left needle so that you've changed the orientation. They've twisted a half turn. And then you would knit those 2 together, inserting the needle from right to left. Sounds very complicated, but the Canadian version of that is slip 1, knit 1, pass slip stitch over, or SKP. So either way you're comfortable doing it is perfectly okay. You get exactly the same result. Just remember, if you're doing the slip 1, knit 1, pass slip stitch over method, that you always slip knitways. So slip 1 knitways, knit 1, take your left needle, pass the slip stitch over. So I think that was the only one I didn't show in the technique video because I figured you've done one of the 2 methods. And then we get into the slip stitch edge, which is a beautiful edge when you're doing garter stitch, if you take a little bit of extra time to do what the pattern specifies. So I'll bring over the edge to show you. Okay, so this is the very neat and tidy slip stitch edge. So instead of your garter stitch creating an extra bump at the outside edge, this pattern has been designed with a slip stitch to start each row, and that creates a nice little chain and keeps the edge extra stretchy and nice and flat. So when you're blocking the shawl, you don't have that problem of the edge curling up on you. It lays nice and flat. So there's two ways, as I've shown in the tech video, if you haven't watched it yet, two ways to do your slip stitch at the outside edge, which I've just shown you. You can slip it purl ways, which many of you may be accustomed to, and you may have seen technique videos on YouTube showing you to do it that way. I prefer to slip it knit ways, mainly because when you're doing the slip stitch, knit two together, pass slip stitch over technique in the central decrease sections, you're slipping your stitch knit ways there. So if you start slipping a stitch purl ways at the outside edge, and then you're slipping a stitch knit ways the rest of the way across the row, your mind gets a little bit confused. Anyway, mine does. And I also like that because I'm slipping it knit ways, I get a little twist in that edge stitch. The twist helps to keep it firmer, and it doesn't splay open quite as much. So that's my suggestion, but you can try both ways and maybe look and see which one you like better. And so that's the slip stitch edge, and then we go into the central double decrease, centered double decrease. I call it central for some reason. Post-it flags, that's it, Karen. So yes, those little stickies are post-it flags. They're great for flagging. See, that's the original use. They were used to flag a page so you can find it in a hurry. They never knew that knitters and crocheters and other makers would find another use for it. So your central decrease is a double decrease. So if you always remember, you're slipping the first stitch knit ways. So you're going in as if you're knitting, slipping it over to the right needle, and then you're knitting two together and passing the slip stitch over. That's getting rid of two stitches, and it forms a little invisible V, which is something that you want to mark with the locking stitch marker, and then move it up every so many rows. So you always know that your central spine is staying straight and you haven't slipped too early or knit two together too late, and then it goes wonky. Sharon had a really good question on the event page when I posted the technique video. She put that she usually does her central double decrease a different way, so that the knit stitch in the center is what is showing, and the two stitches you're getting rid of are behind the center knit stitch, and then it creates a line all the way up. It is probably not the best for this pattern to do that method, because it would make a very distracting line all the way through. You want the decreases to be a little bit more hidden, and you want the increases, of course, to be more hidden. The focus is just on that zigzag and the colors, and you really don't want to outline exactly where the decrease is happening to make it a design element. So for that reason, try to stick to the method described in our techniques video, and also the way it's described on the abbreviation page. And then we have the centered double increase section. And for anyone who's knit shawls before, you're very familiar with make one right, make one left. Those are directional increases that line up away from a center spine stitch, which always is a knit stitch. So to create that, we're doing make one right, and that's picking up the little bar, horizontal bar, and increasing into it in the right hand direction. Then we're always knitting the center stitch according to the pattern, and then we're picking up the horizontal bar beside it and doing a make one left, which means you're knitting to the left through the back of the bar. If you see large size holes, you're not doing the increase correctly. So please refer to the techniques video. Oh, Lorna says they're also called page markers. Yeah, I can see that too, why they have that name. And Heather, you just got your yarn yesterday. Oh, just in time. I think the yarn, when you get it in the mail and you unpack it, is just so much more beautiful than you could have imagined. And then the last technique that you'll be utilizing on this pattern is short rows. And short rows are what create the wider width at the bottom and the narrower width across the top. They are used a lot in shawls to give it a shaping. They're used in collars to make it wider at the top, narrower at the front. They're used on the heel of a sock. So there are different ways to do short rows, and this particular pattern does mention the preferred method of the designer is the W&T, which is wrap and turn method. It's a very standard method. Nothing wrong with it at all, but it will slow you down, and it's quite fiddly because you have to pick up the wrap stitch and knit it together with the stitch on your needle on the next row. Sometimes knowing what to pick up and what to knit together can be very confusing. So for that reason, I'm suggesting that we knit the German short row, and it's so quick, it's so efficient, and it's just a breeze. I promise you'll enjoy it more than the standard wrap and turn. So please trust me, watch the video where I'm demonstrating how to do it. And if you really don't like doing the German short row method, then you can always go back to your preferred method. But the reason the German short row is more efficient is that you're doing the wrap at the same time as you turn. It stays on the needle with your wrap stitch, so that when you come back and you have to knit the wrap together with the stitch, it's right there on the needle. It's just like knitting through one stitch, but there's an extra loop. So it is highly efficient. So that is the preferred method. Has anyone done the German short rows? Do you prefer it to the standard wrap and turn method? There's really about 5 different ways of doing short rows. There's a Japanese method as well. It's quite amazing when you think of it, that somebody can take a standard method and then improve upon it and make it so different in just very subtle ways. But it is done. Wendy says yes, so much better. If you've knit any of the shibui patterns, they're well known for doing the German short row method. The abbreviation would be GSR, generally. So what I've explained in the tech video is when you're reading the pattern, it gives you a specific number of stitches to knit, and then it will say wrap and turn. So to replace that with the German short row, we still knit the required number of stitches, and then the wrap and turn stitch, we just knit it. Then we turn the work, and then we do the German short row on the other side. So it's not changing your stitch count whatsoever, and you don't have to worry about losing your place in the pattern. We wouldn't want to do that too, because that could just be a disaster in the making. Okay, so there are a few more things that I want to go through in the pattern as we come to them, but I don't want to overwhelm you today. I'll give you a chance to get going in the pattern, and then next Friday when we meet for week 2 check-in, I can go over those. I don't think you'll be knitting, too far into the shawl this week, because the rows, they do grow slowly. Oh yes, I did want to mention too, in the repeats. So different designers write their pattern repeats differently. Some will put brackets and they'll say repeat 5 times more, which means you've done it once. You're going to do it 5 times more, that equals 6 times. And then some designers just put repeat 5 times. So you're kind of guessing, does that mean 5 times total, or does that mean 5 times more? So I just want to clarify that so you don't have to spend the time figuring it out. So for instance, right side, row 1, you'll see there is a bracket section, and inside the bracket section, knit 6, CDI, which is your increase, knit 6, CDD, which is your decrease, inside the bracket section. And then it says times 5. That means you're doing a total number of 5 times. And I'll just show you on the shawl. So remember, the shawl is worked up and down for the first strip. So the rows are going from the top of your screen to the bottom of the sun ray. That's the right side, and then they're going back up again. So one repeat would be, can you see my locking stitch marker here? One repeat includes the increase section, so that's the green marker, and the decrease section, that's the orange marker. And then the second repeat is the increase and the decrease. So that's the way you would count the repeats. And the repeats are in there to tell you when to do your short row turns. It's probably a good idea too, now that I think of it, to have a different color marker, progress keeper, something fancy, and put that on your right side of your work. So if somebody interrupts you, the telephone rings, somebody knocks on the door like a gentleman just did, you won't lose track if you've turned wrong side row or if you're on a right side row. So if you put some kind of marker onto the right side of your work, which is good for any project that looks the same on both sides as in garter stitch, then you'll know which is your right and which is your left. Does anybody have any other questions about starting the shawl? Leslie uses her German short rows all the time. Yay, Leslie! The other thing too, if you're wondering how many times you have to repeat the pattern sections, you will get 12 sun rays across the shawl, and then you will get, what is it called? The edge stripe. The edge stripe is sort of a half sun ray. You'll get 1 at each side. So you're going to have 12 complete sun rays, and then you'll have 1 stripe at the beginning, which is like a half pattern, and 1 stripe at the end before you cast off. So that gives you a visual of what you're aiming towards before we get into that beautiful sun at the top. And I love some of your colors for the sun. I mean, some of you are doing the turquoise sun, some of you are doing a cranberry sun. It's just so abstract and personal to what it means to you. A beautiful sunset, a beautiful sunrise, a beautiful sunset. Is color A the sun color, Nancy? Nancy doesn't have the yellow. Yes, color A is your main color, the sun or the star. And color B is where I have the turquoise. Color C is where I have the sun-kissed orange. So if you're still planning out your color sequence, you can always post your color combo on the event page and ask for opinions. We're all there. We're all doing the same project, so why not ask us? And then you might get a general consensus. Okay, well, if there are no other questions at the moment, I mean, you can always put them in the comments later when you watch the video. We'll go on to our trivia so that you can enjoy your knitting this afternoon. I have to say it's the most popular knit-along we've had to date. We've had people sign up from all over North America, as far away as South and North Carolina, Utah, Virginia, Michigan, Alberta, Saskatchewan, all over Ontario, and all the way to the East Coast. So it's very exciting to see what everybody's Hello Sunshine shawl will look like. So the trivia. Is everyone ready? Close to making a comment? So the trivia question will happen at the end of each check-in week. That's 4 weeks. And again, if you type in the correct answer and you are first at doing it in the comments, then you will win one more incentive ballot that goes in the draw bucket. Oh, I have to show you the grand prize first. Then we'll do the trivia. Okay. I always forget something. So this time around for a knit-along, we have 2 grand prizes, but 1 winner. We'll pick 1 winner to get 2 grand prizes. That's not good there with the microphone. So we do have this lovely gift basket from our yarn supplier, Estelle Yarns, and that includes a yarn winder and an Earth Yarns sock kit. There might be some more goodies in there, I just can't see it all. Okay, so that is one of the grand prizes, or half of it. And then from Muskoka Yarn Connection, the grand prize winner will receive a lovely extra fine merino sheep brooch, which could double as a shawl pin for this project, designed by Deborah Lyle, and a stack of extra fine merino sheep note cards, also from Deborah Lyle, 2 skeins of royal alpaca, which is the highest premium type of alpaca in the world, 100-gram skeins, and some cute little trinket bags with knitter's jewelry, progress keepers, and can't remember what else is in there, and a really nice little wrist project bag. So you can have your project on your wrist and knitting while you're walking or sitting outside. Yeah, so that is what you are vying for in terms of getting these incentive ballots. So the trivia question, back to the trivia question. So each week I'm going to read a section of music lyrics, and you have to guess the name of the song and the artist. So the singer or the band who sings the song. Does that make sense? Okay. So here are the lyrics. I'll try not to sing them because that will give it away. I need to laugh, and when the sun is out, I've got something I can laugh about. I feel good in a special way. I'm in love and it's a sunny day. So those are the lyrics. So the first person to type in the name of the song, the title of the song, and the artist or the group that sings the song. And of course, these are all very, very well-known songs from many years ago. Multi-generational. They are still sung today. Any guesses yet? Oh. Okay, we have a winner. Boy, that was quick. Kayoko, good for you. You got it. Okay, so you're getting an incentive ballot in the draw bucket with your name on. You have one already, which was for signing up for the KAL, and now you get a second one. Congratulations. Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoy your special cast-on day and post some progress pics. We've got a hashtag that you can use. It is HELLO SUNSHINE KAL, spelled K-A-L, and also Sunshine KAL, K-A-L. So you can use the hashtag and post on Instagram, Facebook, and just make other knitters envious, because this is really a special project. It's like a piece of artwork. So enjoy your sunshine in your little corner of the world, and I will see you back here next Friday at 2:30. If you have any questions, please post them on the events page, and I will answer them during the week.